So if you're, if you're reaching out to Dallas Habitat, if you reached out to Dallas Habitat and you get a quick response via email or someone calls you back and you think, wow, there must be an army of people behind the scenes. It's just us. Is the three of us in homeowner services, me, Porfirio, and Aretha. We are the homeowner services team at Dallas Habitat. We do a lot of work. Our primary goal is to help first-time home buyers achieve homeownership. And we do this primarily through our counseling program that we'll dig into tonight, our one-on-one housing counseling program, and also through education, like the education that you're participating in right now. And we want you to know that our education, all of the webinars that we do, free. Digital education that we do, we call that PocketWise. PocketWise is self-guided education, also free. All of our education is available to anybody, anywhere. So, if you're really enjoying the classes that you're doing with us and you know someone who is thinking about home ownership and not sure where to start, point them in our direction. We'd be happy to help educate. You do not have to be participating in the Dallas Habitat program to take advantage of our education. My name is Blaine Cower. I'm the Senior Director of Homeowner Services for Dallas Habitat. I've been with Habitat since 2011, so next month will be 9 years. For me, I've held various roles in homeowner services. Now I have the great pleasure of leading the team and working with Porfirio and Aretha on the daily basis. Aretha, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Aretha Higgins, and I am the Senior Homeownership Counselor with Dallas Area Habitat, and I have been with the company for 10 years. Counseling is not, the only thing that I've done with them, but I've been doing it off and on for the 10 years that I've been there. So I enjoy it. This is the best part, being able to counsel and help clients, achieve that dream of home ownership. So there you go.
Thanks, Aretha. Porfirio?
Yes. So hi everyone. So my name is Porfirio Coronado. I'm the bilingual home services home buyer specialist. So basically what I do is I do counseling, and then as well I do the home buyer path of home ownership with Dallas Area Habitat. So those people that are going to be buying a house with Dallas Area Habitat, I work in that aspect. So that's me who you'll be working with later on if you are working with Aretha.
I would say 99.99% of clients work with all of us at any given point. So nice to virtually meet everyone tonight. If we haven't already had a chance to meet you, it'll be a lot of fun working with our team. All right. So a little bit about Dallas Habitat and the work that we do. Dallas Habitat is a HUD certified housing counseling agency. And what that means is that our program is designed to help first-time buyers become ready to buy a home. That might not be in a month, it may be in 6 months, it may be in a year, it might be in 2 years. But we're here to help you make your plan, map your journey to home ownership, however that looks for you. As I mentioned earlier, not only do we do counseling, but we also do education. We do a lot of pre-purchase education, meaning before you get ready for home ownership, preparing you for the various aspects, responsibilities, financial components of becoming a homeowner. We also offer what's called post-purchase education for once you're actually in your home. Equally important, we find a lot of times until you're living in your home, you don't really know all the questions that you had about home ownership. So we're here to support you all along your journey. In addition to that, you'll learn today a little bit about the counseling component and how that works. Because you are not required to buy a Habitat home when working in our counseling program, we've also built out a referral network, a very robust referral network of preferred realtors, preferred loan officers, insurance agents, down payment assistance requirers, and all of these providers that we work with are an extension of the Dallas Habitat program. So our goal is to help connect you to the future members of your home buying team. No matter what path you take, Aretha or Porfirio, whoever you're working with, will be there with you every step of the way. And we'll talk about that today as well. So what is homeownership counseling? When you apply for the Dallas Habitat program, you are applying for what's called homeownership counseling. Okay, pro tip, we're going to debunk the first myth of the night. When you apply for the Habitat program, you are not applying for a Habitat home directly, okay? Think of it this way. How do you possibly even know if you're ready to buy a home? Ready to buy a home is so much more than how much money we make or how much debt we have. It's really about, are we emotionally ready to buy a house? Do we understand the responsibilities that go into home ownership? And making sure we have a budget that we can stick to, making sure all of our finances are in order. So we can't tell you if you're going to be qualified to buy a house right off the bat. You can't tell you. But what we can do is help you prepare for home ownership first. And that's really the bulk of what we're doing in home ownership counseling. So what counseling entails is you'll be working directly with one of our counselors, that's Porfirio and Aretha. They both introduce themselves quite humbly because neither acknowledge the fact that both Porfirio and Aretha are HUD certified counselors. That was an individual exam, a very intense exam, I will share, that both of them have passed, and they hold certifications in their respective positions. So what you can know is working with one of our counselors, you'll be working with a certified professional whose job is to be an unbiased source of information and resources for your homeownership journey. So what they do in counseling is, first and foremost, they're going to help you create a household budget and stick to that budget. Whoops, sorry. Create a household budget and stick to that budget. One of the things that we also do in homeownership counseling, of course, is we pull what's called a soft credit report. And that allows Porfirio and Aretha to see a few things on your credit, including your FICO score. And if you tuned into any of our credit webinars that we've done, then you know a FICO score is not the same score as you'll find on Credit Karma, and not the same score that you'll necessarily find on your credit card statement every month. Your FICO score is a score that mortgage lenders heavily favor and will use in the mortgage process. So as such, we're going to pull a credit report as well. Soft pull means that that credit report does not impact your credit score. It's simply used for the purpose of being able to counsel you on what you need to do to become mortgage ready. So we're going to look at those scores. Our credit report includes the scores from all three credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Additionally, they're going to be looking at credit history on your credit. Have you had past due accounts? Do you have accounts in collection? Have you had any major credit issues, bankruptcy, foreclosure, these sorts of things? And then lastly, score and credit history, the third component that we're heavily analyzing on your credit in homeownership counseling is your debt, monthly debt. Okay, because again, just because you have a fair amount of debt right now doesn't mean you can't ever get to home ownership. However, part of our plan may include reducing that monthly debt to make sure you've got it to a manageable position to where you can potentially take on new debt, because a mortgage payment will be additional debt. Not to mention the amount that we borrow to buy a house is the biggest amount that any of us will ever borrow in our entire lives. We're borrowing $150,000, $175,000, $200,000. That's a lot of money. And so that lender's going to care about our capacity to pay that money back as well. And lastly, and really, really importantly in our program, I think what really sets our program apart, Porfirio and Aretha have a huge heart for this work. You know, I mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter to us how long it takes to get you mortgage ready. You might come in and think you're ready for home ownership and develop your action plan and take a step back and say, you know, I thought I was ready and I'm not. That's okay. We have a lot of clients that come back to us after 6 months, after a year, and say, you know, I really wasn't ready, but now I am. I knew what I had to do. You told me what I had to do. I did it. And I feel good now. I'm ready to move forward. And so we're happy to provide ongoing support, independent, unbiased advice, whether you're ready or not right now. One of the great things, and we'll talk about this tonight in this webinar, is that in homeownership counseling, because you do not have to buy a Habitat home and you can shop your loan options with any lender, that's great. But we find a lot of times clients get scared. That's a scary process to think about, geez, I've got to, talk to these maybe 2 or 3 different loan officers, and the way they're explaining it to me, it all sounds great, but how do I know what's best for me? That is why you use a homeownership counselor. That is what Aretha and Porfirio are trained to do, to be able to really help you understand, let's not just look at the interest rate. Let's not just look at the monthly payment, right? Let's look at all of these factors together, compare apples to apples, and figure out what is best for you as a home buyer. You'll notice down here also one of our notes that we did add in, our program, specifically the way that our counseling program works, is very much designed to be able to help you achieve mortgage readiness within 1 year. Like I said, you're not obligated to get mortgage ready in a year or buy a home in a year, but that is what our program is designed to do in terms of the way that our counseling is structured, and in terms of the requirements for being able to meet our program requirements and submit an application for our program. Okay, let's talk about what homeownership counseling is. We've already talked about it being unbiased insight and support as you navigate that home buying process, but it also is proven to be able to provide first-time buyers, connect first-time buyers with safe and affordable mortgage product. Sadly, the truth is that predatory lending exists. And as a first-time buyer, particularly if you're a first-time buyer that doesn't have much reference point for homeownership, this can be a very intimidating process. Like we mentioned, this is the biggest transaction any of us are ever going to make financially. And so you want to make sure that you have unbiased and professional advice to be able to make the decision that's best for you. And the other great thing about homeownership counseling that we'll talk through is, in homeownership counseling, we're going to do a budget. We make a household budget with every single client that comes through our program. And we expect that you're going to stick to that budget. And you're going to hear from Porfirio and Aretha when they ask in their check-ins, how's your budget coming? Are you sticking to it? Do we need to make a change? Was it realistic, right? And so when you think about reducing debt, building your emergency savings, looking to increase your credit score, sticking to a budget, these are all things that are going to put you in a much better and safer financial position. And so long-term, we know clients begin to change our financial habits, right? We change our financial habits as we prepare for something big like homeownership. Therefore, once we're in homeownership, delinquency rates for individuals who came through counseling are much, much lower than if you just went at it by yourself, were unsure, took your best guess, and got into homeownership. So our goal is not to just get you in that door. Our goal is to keep you in homeownership, keep you as a homeowner, as a successful homeowner. And the last thing we'll say about what counseling is, we get this myth all the time. Again, individuals, this is just, word on the street. This is, he said, she said kind of information. People think all the time that our primary program is buying a Habitat home. That is when you apply for our program, that's what I'm applying for. And that is not true. When you apply for our program, you're applying for counseling. That is our primary program. Okay. And what that allows us to do is serve many, many, many more families a year than we'd ever be able to serve if the only families that we served was those who bought a Habitat home. Okay. Porfirio is going to talk about our homeownership program later because we get a lot of questions about that program. But we want you to know this. Aretha mentioned she's been with us for 10 years. Aretha and I have worked together for 9. She and I worked with Habitat before we did counseling, that she alluded to. And back in those days, You applied for the program and you were accepted or denied, okay? And the reality was, if you were denied because we didn't do counseling in the past, we had no service for you. All we could say was, we can't help you. I hope somebody else can. Okay. And as a counselor, as an advisor, that was unsatisfactory for us. We really wanted to commit ourselves at Habitat to be able to empower any first-time buyer, whether you can qualify for a Habitat home, whether you want to purchase a Habitat home or you don't. And so that's what our program is about these days. So these days we work with several hundred first-time buyers every year that come through our program. And a percentage of those buyers inevitably will buy a Habitat home, and that's lovely. But the rest of those buyers, then what, right? That's the beauty of counseling, is that we can still help connect you to affordable inventory and trustworthy contacts in the communities, realtors and loan officers who can help you get to home ownership, whatever that looks like for you. And as we'll learn today, counseling is a prerequisite for buying a Habitat home. So there's no fast track to buying a Habitat home. Everybody who buys one of our homes that we build, that Porfirio will talk about, first has to complete homeownership counseling and become what we call mortgage ready. Let's talk about what counseling is not. Okay, counseling is not a quick fix, and it is not credit repair. And what we mean by this is, a lot of times we get questions about clients who apply and say, how long is it going to be until I'm mortgage ready? My lease is up in 30 days. I got to get out of my apartment. Okay, we're laughing because I think most of us who are tuned in tonight know, unless we wave a magic wand, chances are we're not going to be ready for something as big as home ownership in 30 days, right? And so remember, we've got our eye on the prize. This is a longer term process. Getting ready for home ownership is a long-term investment. Okay, whether you come through counseling or not. But if you're looking for, credit repair or an immediate housing solution, this is not the program. Okay, our program, we're going to be in it for a little longer to make sure we're really working on changing financial habits and getting you ready to sustain home ownership. That's our goal. Counseling also is not going to guarantee that you'll necessarily become mortgage ready or buy a home with Habitat, okay? Aretha and Porfirio, their job is to help you make a plan in collaboration with you. They will not make a plan on your behalf, but rather they're gonna work with you to identify your goals, identify your needs, and then establish a plan that you agree is realistic for you. But at that point, we pass the baton to you. We're asking you, how long do you think that this will take? If you have to increase savings from $0 to $3,000, we get the question all the time, how long am I going to be in the program? We would ask that question back to you. Okay, now you have your plan. How long do you think that this will take? That's why that's such a personalized process. And it's not that, we're, dodging that question. If you hear us, whether in an email or in the community or anything like that, it's simply that that's a very personal question. It depends on your financial situation. It depends on your goals. And it depends on what you really have to do to become mortgage ready. Before I hand this over to Aretha, Porfirio, Aretha, anything that you all would like to add about homeownership counseling?
No, I think you have hit it all, Blaine.
Oh, thank you. It was great.
All right. Aretha is going to talk about mortgage readiness.
All right. Okay, so when you are counseled, we have 3 different categories that we'll put you in. And that's depending on, after we review all your documents and talk to you about what's going on and what needs to be cleared up and our action plan. So the first one will be short term. And short term is determined by if you're able to get pre-qualified for a mortgage loan within 0 to 3 months, okay? Some of the things that we outline in determining if you're a short-term client, if there's no negative credit issues within the last 3 years, meaning you don't have any past due accounts, you don't have anything in collections, we're looking at charge-offs. We're also looking at credit score. You already have a fabulous credit score of maybe 600 or 620, and we just want to try to get that up a little bit higher maybe, okay? We're also going to look at if you have stable, sufficient income to support a mortgage, and we're going to look at your employment history. How long you've been on that job? Do you have any gaps? Anything like that, because those things are important to a lender. We're going to look at low monthly debt. Maybe you only have 2 or 3 credit cards and they all have small balances. That's great. We're going to look at a demonstrated habit of savings. When you come, I look at your savings account and I see that you have $3,000 already saved up, or I see that you have $10,000 already saved up. That lets me know that you do this on a regular. You already have a habit of saving, okay? So that is what determines short term, okay? And we will let you know if you're a short-term client, if you're a mid-term client, or if you're a long-term client.
Fun fact, in our homebuyer community, for anybody who is already logged in, when you go to your file in the community, you'll be able to see your designation as short, mid, or long, and you'll also be able to see as you make progress, how that changes.
All right, the next one, midterm. Midterm means that you're able to get pre-qualified within 3 to 6 months. You have few or small negative credit issues to resolve. You have high monthly debt, but you're able to pay it down to a manageable amount within 6 months. And we can also gauge this when we do your budget, by seeing how much you have left over after you pay your expenses. Okay? You have some savings for upfront costs related to a mortgage loan. You're close to achieving stable employment history, whether that's 1 to 2 years, depending on the type of income. And when we say 1 to 2 years, that's depending on the type of income. We're talking about if you're self-employed. If you're self-employed, a lender's gonna wanna see 2 years of your tax returns, okay? And they're gonna wanna see that that business that you're claiming on that tax return, they're gonna wanna see that that business is thriving, okay, for 2 years. Also, another one is commissioned income. They're gonna wanna see that you have commissioned income for 2 years. We're also looking at no credit score. And a lot of people think, oh, I don't have a credit score. That's good, right? Not so much, okay? We're gonna have to try to get you a credit score. Lenders are gonna wanna see that you have, they're gonna wanna see how you manage credit, okay? And that's how you get that credit score. So that's when we're working with you and we was like, okay, you may need to try to get a secured credit card. You know, we have different avenues to try to help you speed up that process to get a credit score generated. Or you could have a subprime score where your score is low and we know that you're not going to get a good interest rate. Okay, now we're knowing that, oh, what we need to do, we're looking at your credit report, we're saying, okay, this is recent stuff. Within the last 12 months, you had some medical stuff and that's affecting your credit report, your credit score. So we may need to tackle some of that small medical to try to get your score up a little bit. But it's all depending on each individual's case, okay? So when we're looking, when you apply for our program, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And we just want to make sure that we have all the information geared toward your particular case, okay? I'm sitting here, I'm at home, and I'm writing down my notes. John Doe, okay, I need to talk to them about alternative trade lines, okay? Because they don't have any credit at all, okay? I need to talk to them about this repo that's showing up on their credit report and how a lender's gonna look at that, okay? So I have to be very meticulous in all those documents that you send in. And we have to look at that with every client that comes through. Every client that applies to this program that's assigned to Porfirio or myself, We have to go through all those many documents that you submitted to us, and we have to jot down our notes to say what we're going to talk about. We have to look at those bank statements and see if we see any negative balances, because we have to talk about that, because lenders, they don't like that, okay? So that's something you may not know, and I need to make sure that you know going forward, hey, we can't have any negatives in your balance, in your bank account going forward. Let's try not to let that happen, okay? All right, long-term, do not be discouraged if you're listed as a long-term client, okay? Long-term just means it may take you a little longer than the 6 to 12 months, and that's okay. Again, counseling, we're here to guide you through this process. We want you to be able to get in that house and stay in that house. And that's where we come along with the education, okay? The more education you know going through this huge financial transaction, the better you're gonna be, okay? So don't be, again, do not be sidetracked by long-term client. Long-term just means maybe you have several negative credit issues that you're gonna have to resolve. It means high monthly debt. We talk about debt to income ratios. And if that debt ratio, I'm looking at that debt ratio, and if your debt ratio is right around 40%, I'm saying, no, we need to pay some stuff down. I got to get it under that 40, because I want you to be comfortable when you get in that house. I don't want you to be fist to cuff, okay? And it's being able to pay down that debt within 12 months. Deep subprime credit score, or no score at all. Again, we got to get that score up. Okay, because that's going to determine the interest rate that you're going to get on that loan. Okay, very little or no savings. And my clients, anybody that I've already counseled will tell you I hit on savings really, really hard, because it's so very important. And if you have not started saving before, and I haven't counseled you yet, go ahead and start that. Okay, you already got to jump ahead of everybody else, because you know, first of all, I may not have a savings account open, so let me go open one right quick, okay? And then let me start adding money to it every time I get paid. You work hard, okay? You deserve to pay yourself first. If nothing else, even if you weren't trying to buy a home, you deserve to put money into your account and pay yourself first, because things happen, life happens, okay? And insufficient and unstable income. Say you job hopping. Every 6 months you're on a different job, okay? Lenders don't like that, okay? This is a huge transaction, and they want to make sure that they're gonna get their money back. So if you're one of those, you're only on a job 3 to 6 months, and then you say, oh, I'm just gonna wait it out a little bit, maybe give me 2 or 3 months, you know, I'm not gonna do anything. That's not going to fly with the lender, okay? We're going to have some stability. They want to see you with a stable history preferably on the same job in the same industry, but we know things happen. So if you're trying to better yourself, get more income, that stuff is understandable, okay? And the lender can work with that. But they don't want to see any gaps, or any gaps in your employment history, or any gaps in that income, that monthly income coming in, okay? And finally, home buyer financial education. At Dallas Habitat, we just believe it's so very important. Out of the 10 years that I've been here, I've stressed this from day one, because I saw it so many times with clients that look good. They look good on paper. I was like, oh yeah, she ready, he ready. But then they get in that house, 2 or 3 months later, they defaulting on the loan. And I'm like, something's not right. They're not ready. Okay, so we got to talk about educating. And I was so happy when Blaine came to us and said we were going to be HUD certified, and we were going to be educating our clients about this process, because it is so, so very needed, okay? And so being an educated client about home ownership means that you're going to be a successful home buyer, okay? You're going to get in that house. You're going to do what it takes to stay in that house, because guess what? Foreclosure does not look good on anyone's credit report. And it's kind of hard to come back from that after it's on there, okay? So it is a requirement of our program to do pre-purchase education. And I know a lot of people say, how much education I got to do? You know? The more, the better. Now, we know we have a lot of webinars. We get it, okay? We're not saying you need to attend every webinar because we know you have children, you got other stuff going on, but we want you to attend as many as you possibly can, okay? We got them out there. You paid for it. Come to the classes, okay? We have, of course, the live webinars that we all enjoy doing. We have PocketWise Cafe, and you can go online and you can do that right there at your home. And all those little classes on PocketWise Cafe, they only last maybe 3 to 5 minutes. So you can go and learn about different subjects. Some of it doesn't even pertain to home ownership. It may pertain to saving for your child's college, saving for retirement, okay? So it's whatever you're interested in. Go look at that if you haven't already. We also have a HUD certified 8-hour home buyer education course. This class is normally done in person, and we work with a lot of partner organizations. We have lenders, realtors, homeowners insurance agents, everybody that you could possibly work with on a home buying team that come to that class, and we do like a panel discussion normally, okay? And you're getting lots of great information. But unfortunately, due to COVID-19 and all the social distancing, we're not able to do that. But that does not delay that class, okay? We have it where you can take it online in the privacy of your home. So when you are mortgage ready or anywhere close to that, we're gonna suggest that you take that online course, or if we getting past this COVID or something and we're able to do in person, then we're gonna suggest that you come to that class. But again, education is the key to successful home ownership, and you're gonna hear us drive on that hard the whole time you're in this program, okay?
All right. Aretha, thank you so much for going through that. Y'all feel energized? I feel energized. Okay, we have a question from the audience, and the question is, when we register for classes, do you guys keep track of the classes that we do so that we know where we stand? Yes, of course. We keep track of every piece of information that you do. Aretha mentioned PocketWise. She mentioned our webinars. We keep track of everything. And guess what? The beauty of it is that you actually can see that on the back end how much education you're earning in the community, which is our client-facing portal. So lots of awesome information there. I just want to take a quick second to remind everybody before Porfirio gets started on his section that if you have questions in Zoom, there is a question and answer box. I see some people with raised hands. So if you'll do us the favor, drop your questions in the Q&A box or in the chat, and we'll make sure that we answer any questions that you have at the end in our Q&A session. Thanks so much, Porfirio.
All right, let's continue with this party. All right, so for those of y'all that are interested in buying a Habitat home, like Blaine explained to you at the beginning, is that whenever you apply for our counseling program, you're not applying directly to buy a Habitat home. What you're applying is for the actual counseling program that we will guide you through that process. And then once you become mortgage ready, at that time, then we will give you the option of buying a Habitat home. So we will explain to you what that process looks like. So how does buying a Habitat home work? So Dallas Area Habitat builds a limited available inventory, affordable inventory of new construction homes each year, okay? So we only have a limited inventory. It's not like we build 50 homes a year. You know, at the most, we probably build 20 a year, okay? So that doesn't mean that all the rest of the 80 clients that have submitted an application are not going to be able to buy a Habitat home, you know. So we will still be able to help you on that way through guiding you through the home buying process. So you first have to complete homeownership counseling, as I explained, and become mortgage ready, okay? So what does becoming mortgage ready means? Aretha explained to you is that once you have sufficient income, okay, that you are able to, that you have sufficient income, that your debt is enough to be able to purchase a Habitat home. Also, you have stable income coming in. So that's just not sufficient, but it's also like it's consistent, okay? You must have to demonstrate the income criteria. Also, it is a 0% finance loan, meaning that there's 0% interest on that house that you'll be able to buy with us. Okay. Remember that while buying a Habitat home may not be the only option, like I said, it's may not be the only option. You have other options to take once you become mortgage ready, and we will explore those options with you. Our houses are also available on just specific neighborhoods. So, for example, Dallas area Habitat built on our priority neighborhoods. It's where Dallas area Habitat sees the need of affordable housing, and that's where we build. So most of the clients, if you come in thinking that we're going to be building a house in like North Dallas, Grand Prairie, or Irving, outside of our priority neighborhoods, that's a misconception that we have. We only build in our priority neighborhoods, and those neighborhoods change throughout the year. So there's no way that I can tell you what neighborhoods we'll be building, but because that changes throughout the year. Now, the sales prices of those houses, they basically go from the range of $150,000 to up to $205,000. So, and it all depends on the neighborhood that the house is being built on.
Okay, so I know we're going to have I'm jumping in quickly because I know we're going to have questions about this topic. This is probably the topic we get the most questions about. So if you have questions about the homes that Dallas Habitat builds, where we build, to Porfirio's point, our neighborhoods that we build in at any given time do change throughout the year. So think about if you apply today to our program, but it takes you 12 months to get ready. Does it really matter where we're building today? Probably not, right? Your concern is where are we going to be in 6 to 12 months potentially. So when you meet with your counselor, they're going to help you be able to first and foremost identify, is our homeownership program even a good option for you? Do you meet the eligibility criteria for that program? And are we building in a community that you'd be interested in purchasing a home in? To Porfirio's point, Dallas Habitat's mission is not just about affordable housing, it's also about revitalizing communities. As we mentioned at the start of tonight's program, our mission is about reinvesting in communities in Dallas that have been disinvested in. And we see the fruits of our labor in many of the neighborhoods that we've built in over the years. I'll throw out a couple of case studies. West Dallas is a great example. West Dallas, that is a neighborhood that for so many decades was totally forgotten by the city of Dallas. There was no investment in that community. Now, if you're familiar with West Dallas, you know that has changed completely. It's actually one of the hottest neighborhoods when you talk about Trinity Groves and the condos down there and all of the development, and you're 5 minutes from downtown Dallas, the neighborhood has changed quite substantially. The pioneers, we always say at Habitat, pioneers who can see the vision, not about what you see today, but what you know is going to happen with the reinvestment that comes with home ownership and building a tax base with the tax dollars that you pay as a homeowner that you don't pay as a renter, right? That's how we begin to build a voice for the community and enact policies and advocate for the community. Another example of that, in my opinion, I would say Bonton. To Porfirio and Aretha, you all know we've built in Bonton. Dallas Habitat has built in Bonton for many, many, many years. Now we see all of these great fun things popping up like Bonton Farms, which almost everybody knows now these days, the cafe that they've opened, the coffee shop that they've opened, and really being able to revitalize the community in that way too. So it's fun to be a part of that change. But to Porfirio's point, just know there are parts of Dallas that we invest our dollars in, and there's parts that we don't. The beauty of it is that, again, if we're building homes in a neighborhood that you're not interested in, you're not under any obligation to buy a home, and we can still help you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say on that, I saw something come through. Wow, Dallas Habitat only build about 20 homes a year. That's why we're letting you know this is a counseling program. Yes, we work for Dallas area Habitat, but at the end of the day, our goal is to make sure you can buy a home and you can get pre-qualified with any lender. That's our job as HUD certified counselors, okay? And I don't want you all to be afraid of going to or nervous about going to an outside lender, because guess what? We're gonna be with you every step of that journey. You'll be able to bring, if you get a sales contract somewhere, guess what? You can send that to me. If you get 3 sales contracts, you can send that to me. We can go over that kind of stuff. And we'll sit down together. We'll look at that. We'll see who has the best interest rates, how much they want asking for closing costs, and we'll evaluate all that with you. That's the one of the good things about having a housing counselor. You got somebody that's going to be there and with you every step of this journey. Okay, so don't get sidetracked by how many houses we build, because at the end of the day, we want you to know you have other opportunities. Okay.
Just to add to that, and we probably get more excited when someone buys a product outside of Habitat, just because it's outside of Habitat, and we're just proud of that. Like we helped you on that way of buying a house through our counseling. So we just get excited, probably more excited whenever someone buys a house outside of Habitat.
Yes, because I think to your point, Porfirio and Aretha, it takes some guts, right? It takes some guts to say, you know, if you're coming to Habitat and, you know, we continue to navigate you through the Dallas Habitat homeownership program, no one's going to be prouder of you than Habitat. We love that. But if our program's not for you and you take that leap and, you know, you're in a zone that's a little bit uncomfortable, we're super proud that you've done that. And we're just excited to be part of your home buying team in that way. All right.
So how does it work? How do you apply? So the first step is to create an account to the home buyers community and complete a pre-screening to determine your eligibility. So on that pre-screening, we will look at it in just a second. And then the second step is, if you are a good fit, you'll be invited to submit an application where you will pay a program fee of $125 or $200 for a dual applicant. So that'll be meaning that if you're applying with a co-borrower. Now that fee is non-refundable once you pay it, okay? So if you submitted the pre-screening and then you submitted the application, that fee is not refundable, okay? If you're not a good fit, that's okay. Like I said, we are a HUD certified counseling agency, meaning that we can still help you through education, okay? So don't get discouraged if you do that pre-screening and it says that you're not a good fit for our program. Like I said, go ahead and continue to do education with us. That way you know exactly what do you need to do to be able to qualify for our counseling program. Because once you do that pre-screening, it will tell you exactly if you don't qualify, it will tell you exactly what you need to work on. If it will tell you like your debt is too high, well you need to know you need to pay down some debt. It will tell you that your income is too low. Well, you need to increase your income. So all that it will tell you on that pre-screening tool. So it is designed to do that. You know, it's designed for you to know exactly where you at in case you are not a good fit. That way you can continue that education with us. Okay. Now, if you are a good fit, the next step is to submit required documents. And those required documents is like your financial statements, like your pay stubs, bank statements, tax returns, all that information that we as counselors need to review your file. Okay. So we need you to submit those via the community as well. Okay. Once we have all those documents, Aretha and I will review those documents and schedule a counseling session with you, where we will review those documents with you, and then also talk about where you at in the home buying process, and let you know exactly how much you're able to afford based on your income, how much are you able to afford if you have that income plus your debt. Okay, so we will do that counseling session. Now we do counseling sessions via Zoom. Some of us we do through via phone, and then whenever all this pandemic passes, we'll probably do face-to-face if that's what you prefer.
Can I say something, Blaine, on that? Okay. As far as your first counseling session, I just want to say that everyone, after you submit your application, and you should get a welcome email from the homeowner services counseling team, either directly from myself, because that's just the way I like to communicate. So I like to put everything in writing so my clients know exactly what I need from them where they need to go to get the information, because I'm one of those people. I want to be able to go back and say, oh, let me look at that email. She did talk about that. Let me go and look at that and see where I need to upload the documents, or if I even need to upload documents. We would prefer that everyone would go to the community and upload your documents and just email us and say, hey, Ms. Aretha, I just want you to know that I uploaded my documents, and I'm gonna email you back and say, hey, great, thank you so much. And what we try to do, we try to schedule counseling sessions in the order that these applications were assigned to us, okay? Now, if you're one of the first people that submitted an application and it's taking you 2 or 3 months to get documents to me, guess what? It's gonna be 2 or 3 months before I schedule a session with you, okay? Because there are several people ahead of you, okay? And then I want you all to understand that we have a lot of people coming through this program, and there's only 2 of us. Porfiria and I are the only counselors, okay? So again, we're gonna take our time, look at those documents, make sure when you meet with us for a counseling session that you're gonna get some great information that's gonna help you on this home ownership journey. So we just ask that you be a little bit patient with us. If it's taking longer than you think it may, then just email us, let us know. We're okay with that. Say, hey, Ms. Aretha, I haven't heard anything from you since I got your welcome email. Just want to know kind of where I am. And that's fine. We got to communicate. I understand that. Okay. Sometimes we get a little sidetracked because we have so many of you all and we're trying to do so much at one time. Sometimes we can get a little sidetracked. So it's okay to email us or call us and say, hey, I just want to know where I am in the process, how much longer it may be before I get a session. But at the end of the day, like I said, we just want you all to just bear with us, have a little patience, and just know that you're going to get a great, meaningful counseling session, because we're going to be, we've already looked at your stuff and we know what action plan we need to put out going forward for you, okay?
All right, so in your first counseling session, what we would do, in your first counseling session, we will create a household budget. Okay, so we would take that monthly expense worksheet that we had asked you to do in advance on paper and then also on the community. We would look at it together and see exactly what you need to cut down as far as expenses. Okay, if we see that you are spending too much in going out on shopping out on restaurants, you know, we will ask you to cut that down. Maybe you like to shop a lot for work, then we will ask you to probably cut that down. Define so and then another thing we're like we would do is define your goals. Okay, so we would let you know exactly what are your goals and how you can achieve them. Okay, and we know that the overall goal for most of us is going to be how could I buy a house? So that's what we're going to work on. Okay, we will review your credit history and your credit score. So like we explained earlier, we are looking for a 620 or better. Now, in my conversations, I usually say a 640, just because at that point we are able to have more loan options, okay? And that's what we ultimately want, okay? In there, we will also identify the obstacles, okay? If it's either income, credit, if it's both, then we will let you know exactly what you need to do, okay? To become mortgage ready. If you already have a plan, now what do? You know, you continue to do pre-purchase counseling, which is attending this live webinars, continue to do the pocket buys online. You know, all that education, it's part of your action plan. Okay. If you make progress, it is going to be up to you to let us, the counselors, know that you made any progress, or do it through the community by updating your action plan in there. It would alert us that you have updated something, so then we can go back in there and verify it. Okay. Once you work towards mortgage readiness, then you will be working at your own pace. So, you know, if it's taking you 3 months to pay a collection account, then it's going to take us three more months to continue on that action plan that we have established. So it all works on your pace. Okay, so we can't move forward until we complete that action plan. Once you are mortgage ready, okay, what do we do? So once you become mortgage ready, then you know, at that time we identify the loan options that you might have. Okay. Now, if a loan option is to buy a habitat home, then we will explore that option with getting you in contact with our loan officer with Dallas Area Habitat. Okay. Now, If Habitat is not an option for you because we're not building or because you can't afford it or whatever that case might be, then we would uh, partner you with a preferred lender so that you can know exactly what to do. After that, then we would qualify for a home, okay? We would share available inventory for those people that qualify for a Habitat home, depending on your pre-qualification with our lender. If you are shopping in the open market, meaning you're working with an outside lender outside of Habitat, then we would partner you with a preferred realtor that works with us, that knows about affordable housing and all that. So we would work with them. So that way you already have a loan and you already have a realtor. So then they will help you shop the open market. Okay. No matter the pathway you take, we are still here to serve you as an independent advisor every step of the way. Okay. This is the community. Okay, so once you are trying to apply for our program, if you're trying to attend our education classes or apply for our counseling program, you will have to create an account through the community. It asks for your first name, last name, email. You will have to put in a password. Okay, once you do that, it's going to log into the community. As you see here, it says welcome community user. Click here to submit your pre-check form for our pre-screening, okay? That is a very small font. A lot of people miss that. So make sure you always pay attention to that, okay? Now, the first step, like we said, is going to be to take that pre-screen, and that's going to tell you exactly if you are a good fit for our counseling program. If you're not a good fit, then they tell you the reasons why you would not be a good fit for our counseling program. That way you can work on those through our education. If you are a good fit, it's going to give you a prompt you to submit an application with us for our counseling program, and then take your fee, $125 or $200.
Let me just say, in the community, a lot of times I know a lot of you all are doing things on your phone. With this particular tool or just the community in general, it's best if you're on like a computer, you know, like just a regular computer, because you may get an error saying that, you know, where you can't complete the pre-screen. That may have something to do with it because you're trying to use your cell phone versus a regular computer. So try that. And also know that if for some reason you do not, like Porfirio stated earlier, if for some reason you do not pass this pre-screen tool, it's okay. There's free education, okay? And sometimes you know, people might want to step back and say, okay, let me get the education first to see where I am, okay? Then let me go back and maybe once the application cycle is open again and try again as far as, you know, submitting an application to go through the counseling piece. But the education is there. There's nothing wrong with getting educated before you actually come through our program. Okay, so don't be alarmed if it says, okay, you're not a good fit. It just means you're not a good fit at this time. Okay.
Okay, this is how the pre-screen looks, okay? So it's complete the pre-screen tool to identify if you're eligible for our counseling program, okay? The tool, it's only to be submitted once, okay? Resubmissions are not valid. So if you submit it once and it tells you that unfortunately not a good fit, and then you try to resubmit it again, it's not going to be a valid submission, okay? It is assigned to prevent you from paying the fee, okay? Like I said, our program, we do charge $125 or $200. So once you submit an application, if you resubmitted the pre-screen and you were not a good fit, then we're not going to be able to refund that money. Do not create multiple accounts for the community. Okay, this only causes issue for us and for yourself in the long run whenever you try to reapply for our program. And only and use an email that you often check like on a daily basis. Okay, a lot of times we usually communicate through email, so make sure you always use an email that you check on a daily basis. On the pre-screen tool, sorry, I was going to say, on the pre-screen tool, it does ask you for your first name, last name, your email, your family, your household size. So how many people are in the household right now, meaning how many people do you think are your taxes, basically. Make sure you read it carefully. That's for your monthly gross income, okay? Gross income means before taxes on a monthly basis. In there, it also asks you for your Social Security income, not your Social Security number, okay? If you receive Social Security income or disability income, you put that in there. Do not put your Social Security number, otherwise it's going to say you do not qualify. In there, it talks about self-employment, okay? Self-employment, like we said, we need 2 years of taxes. So what you would do is just take an average of both years, adjust the gross income, and divide that by 12, and that will be your annual, your monthly gross income that you will put in there. On your debt, it's going to you're going to include anything that you're paying on a monthly basis on credit. So that's if you have a car note, that's on your credit. If you have credit cards, you know the minimum payment, it's what you would include on that monthly debt. And then you will answer three questions that are in there, and you click submit, and then it will tell you exactly if you are a good fit or you are not. Thank you.
Okay, we're a little over. So what we'll do is we'll take a couple of quick questions and we'll answer those questions live. And like we mentioned, we do have our general email, which is homeownersupport@dallas-habitat.org, dropped in the chat box. Feel free to reach out to us directly with any personal questions that you have. Quick shout out, Brenda. We see you, we saw your comment. We actually are working on your issue behind the scenes. So keep an eye out for an email for us working through a technical issue, we believe, with your case. We have our first question comes from Facebook Live. And that question is, what makes you qualified? What credit score do I need in order to be qualified? Who wants to take that question?
I'll take it, Blaine. Again, this is, when we counsel to make sure that you can purchase with anyone, okay? There are different loan requirements, different loans out there that you can qualify for, and you can have a 580 credit score. But there are different caveats to that as well. If you can have a 580 credit score, you can best believe they want you to have enough money in your savings for closings and all costs associated to that loan. So more money in your savings with having that 580 credit score, okay? With Dallas Habitat, again, we try to get your credit score around 620 to 640. And the reason why we do that is because, yes, with Dallas Habitat, our in-house lender, we can qualify you with a lower score, but we don't want to qualify you, work with you as a counselor, work with you with a low credit score and get you to our in-house lender and there's no available inventory, okay? The reason for the higher score is that when you're deemed mortgage ready, we want to know that you'll have the option to either go to Dallas Habitat or either go to an outside lender. If we keep your score at a very low level, the only option you're going to have is Dallas Habitat. That's not going to help you if when you're mortgage ready, we don't have available inventory, okay? So the goal is to get that credit score as high as we can get it. And that's a conversation that we have individually, okay? When we have the counseling session, we discuss that, okay?
I think it's a really good takeaway, Aretha, is that a lot of this is individualized. We get a lot of questions about what credit score do you need? What income do you need? And the truth is, it depends largely on you. There's not a lot of black and white blanket requirements like that. It's very personalized based on the factors that we talked about, right? Your household size related to your income, also your employment history, also your debt, also, so there also your savings, there's all of these different factors. So that is exactly why we designed the pre-screen tool. This tool is sophisticated, okay? It's not just dump a number in and, I pass. There's sophisticated formulas on the back end that really are designed to help you understand if our program's a good fit for you. And to Aretha's point, you know, the great thing about that tool is that if you're not ready, that's okay. At least you know not to pay that fee. And we would suggest join us for this education. Still get the information that you need right now to get started in thinking about homeownership. We do have a couple of other additional questions. We have a question about neighborhoods that Habitat builds in. Can you still see where Habitat homes are currently? Previously, I saw that you were building in Oak Cliff. I'll answer that question. We are building in Oak Cliff. We have built in Oak Cliff for quite some time. Built in a couple of different communities in Oak Cliff, including in Southeast Oak Cliff, the Jockey community off of 45 and Loop 12. We've also built in Oak Cliff Gardens behind the VA hospital. And more recently, we built in a neighborhood in Oak Cliff called Fremont, which is near Oak Cliff Gardens and also near the Dallas Zoo. As we mentioned, these neighborhoods change all the time. Our priority communities are primarily within the southern sector of Dallas and also West Dallas. And so these neighborhoods that we build in, Habitat builds seasonally. Again, as Porfirio mentioned, we're only building an average of about 20 homes a year, right? So we're not talking about a ton of inventory. We serve a whole lot more people than 20 families a year, okay? So eye on the prize, we're getting ready for mortgage readiness, getting ready for homeownership. And if that means a Habitat home, fantastic. Trust us, we will absolutely give you that information when that moment comes. But again, in this moment, we're really focused on getting you ready for a mortgage. Our next question is, we have a couple of questions from a participant. I'm gonna pick out some of these that we've got time to answer. Can I still receive down payment and closing cost assistance even if I don't buy a Habitat home? Porfirio, do you wanna take that one?
Sure. So there are additional programs out there that you might be able to qualify for down payment assistance and closing costs. And as counselors, Aretha and I would work with you to identify those down payment assistance programs and lenders that take those down payment assistance programs, because not all lenders use down payment assistance. So we would identify what lenders take down payment assistance and what down payment assistance they are out there.
Blaine, I'd like to add to that. A lot of times too, your down payment assistance is tied around what we call your area median income, your AMI, okay? If you're on the higher end, over 80% AMI, a lot of times you're not gonna qualify for any kind of down payment assistance. So it's all on you to try to save up for that down payment and that closing cost, unless maybe the lender has a special program or something that they're offering, you know, a special product. That could be the case where they can help you with some of that. But again, as far as government funded down payment assistance, you may not be able to get any of that, okay?
Right, another thing that I would like to add to that is that, you know, as counselors, we want you to afford the mortgage without any assistance. You know, at the end, if there is down payment assistance, then great, because that will be a benefit to you, because you will pay in less in closing costs and all that. But as counselors, we want you to afford that mortgage without that assistance first.
Okay, I think we have time for one more quick question. Okay, do you have to be a US citizen or permanent resident to buy a Habitat house?
To buy a Habitat home, yes, you do have to be a US citizen or permanent resident for one of our inventories. Now, there are a couple of ways that we could do that. For example, if one of the person is not a US citizen or a permanent resident, but the other spouse is, then the spouse that is a permanent resident or US citizen has to be able to afford the mortgage alone without the other person's income. So we're not able to use that other person's income if they're not a US citizen or permanent resident. So that, yes.
Excellent. Okay, and we had our final question is related to How many lenders do you work with, and can we go with a lender of our own choice? Yes, that's the whole purpose of housing counseling. The purpose of housing counseling is to give you choices, to empower you to be able to have access to choices. That doesn't just include your lender, it also includes your realtor, it includes your entire home buying team. And so the whole purpose of housing counseling, again, is to get you mortgage ready so that you can walk into any lender that you want to. Any of the lenders that we work with, or maybe if you have your own bank or credit union that you work with and you would like to shop your loan option with them, even better. Having options is having power when it comes to making a financial investment like homeownership. So that's a great question, and it hit the nail on the head for us. This is a whole end goal for us. Again, not just preparing you for Dallas Habitat Home, but preparing you to be able to look at all of your options. Just because you qualify to buy a Dallas Habitat home does not mean that home is necessarily the best option for you. You know, we have a lot of individuals. Yes, options is power. I see that in the chat and I love it. We have a lot of individuals that say, I have to have a Habitat home, and they become mortgage ready and they move through our process, and then they look at the homes that we buy and they might say, you know, it's not in the school district that I want my kids in, or it's not the size home that my family needs, or I need to be closer to my work, or I need to be closer to my family. These are not bad things, right? Homeownership is a long-term investment. You don't want to rush into something that you really don't want to buy. And so that's okay. Just because you qualify for a Habitat home does not mean you're under any obligation to buy a home with us. Our goal is to allow you to be in a position to buy the home that's best for you. So with that said, we are going to wrap up this evening as we're just a bit over. This webinar tonight that you all have joined has been recorded, and it will be available on our YouTube channel. If you have not checked out our other webinars, we absolutely recommend that you do so. They're all on our YouTube channel, and of course, they're all free. They're all on Zoom and easy to access. We've got a bunch of topics. This is our 6th one that we've done tonight. Our next webinar will be on Tuesday, June the 16th at 6 p.m. It is live on our website, on our webinar calendar, and you can go on and register for that. The subject of that webinar is a deep dive with one of our co-hosts who is a mortgage specialist at Truist Bank, Megan Dixon. And our guest Megan is going to be here to deep dive into mortgage readiness. We had so many questions tonight about how much do I have to save? What does my credit score need to be? What does my debt to income ratio need to be? That webinar on Tuesday, the 16th at 6 p.m. is going to answer any and all questions you have about understanding how mortgage ready you are. And the last thing that our team wanted to share with you is that we have been cooking up a big surprise on the Dallas Habitat end. We are so excited that June is National Homeownership Month, and we take that very seriously at Dallas Habitat. In fact, every June, we host our annual homeownership fair. This fair last year, when we held it, we had almost 2,000 people register for this event. So this is a popular community event. With COVID-19, obviously we can't do that in person, but the party is not canceled. On Saturday, June the 27th, we will be hosting our first ever virtual home ownership fair. It's going to be a ton of fun. We'll have breakout sessions throughout the day, and of course, we'll have raffles and fun prizes that we're going to give away. You're not going to want to miss it. I promise you that. If you're working with us, you'll get updates in the community, so stay tuned. If not, check out our social channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check out our website. Our registration information for that event will be live in about the next week. So stay tuned, and we hope that we see you there.